Hey guys, so the story I'm going to tell you today is a story that is not a good one. I got in a wreck coming home from Dusal. It was the night of June 12th, 2013, and I was traveling toward Lafayette from Dusal on Richfield. I don't know if any of y'all know where that's at. Way out there. And a vehicle turned left in front of me with no blinker. And it was 9:30 at night. It was dark. Could not see. Did not know that the guy was going to turn in front of me. And he was in a Ford F-250. I was in my first vehicle, a little Kia Spectra. And I ended up hitting him in the bed of his truck where his gas tank was. My car spun around, and it was the scariest moment of my life. I knew that we were going to hit him like last second. So I hurried up and I pushed myself back into my seat and I pulled my legs up as close as I could, one of them. And my best friend, Lauren, at the time, Lauren was with me, and she was not wearing her seatbelt, we found out. So we spun around, and then I opened my eyes and I'm screaming, help, help, like I didn't know what to do. I looked over at Lauren and she was passed out. And then she wakes up and she hears me screaming. She has no clue what just happened. She's like, shh, be quiet. I don't know what you're talking about. The windshield was caved in on us. My car was on fire. And the guy that we hit, he comes up to me as an old man. He had a big old white beard. And he says, your car's on fire. Get out. And I was like, okay, help me. And then he ran. So I did not know at the time my ankle was broken. And I went to get out, and her side of the car you could not open. So I had to pull her through the driver's side, and she had no use of her legs. So we're climbing over all this glass, and my car was probably about like 8 feet from his. And then as I am standing on the outside of the car, and my best friend is hanging halfway out of the car, and I'm like holding onto half of her body, there's another truck coming straight at us. And I went crazy. I was waving my hands. I was like, stop, stop. And the guy stopped within like 5 inches of my car, because if he would have hit us again, we would have been dead. So the guy ends up being a Army Reserve home, and he helped me get my best friend out of my car. We carried her onto the bed of his truck. We had to put her legs straight and flat because they were broken. And he was like our saving grace. He said, we still to this day do not know how he hit us, and he said his truck just shut off. So it was insane. And one night we were in the hospital. We had no clue what his name was. I don't mean to be racist, but he was black, and that's all we knew him as. We're like, the black guy that helped us, he was an angel, and he found us in the hospital, and he came and visited us. Until this day, we are very close with him. Thank God he showed up. And it was just a crazy time in my life. It took forever for us to heal. I had a broken ankle and cuts everywhere. My best friend had a broken pelvis, 2 broken femurs, a broken ankle, all of her toes, and a piece of her back. And now she's walking, she's fine. So it all worked out in the end. It was just a very traumatizing story. Still is to this day, probably always will be. So I guess learn from this. Always pay attention. And even if somebody doesn't have their blinker on, does not mean they're going to turn in front of you. So thanks for listening to my story.